Hey guys, just wanted to show you my game room, and I figure we'll start with my CRT setup. So my CRT is a Sony Wega Trinitron. It's a 32-inch flat screen. I got it around 2002, right when we moved into this house here, and flat screens weren't, or HD TVs weren't really around then. So I actually am the original owner of this TV, and it's perfect for gaming. It's got some geometry issues in the corners. It probably could be fixed, but I don't really know how to do that, and I'm not sure I want to mess with it. For the most of the screen, it's fine though. It doesn't really present a problem. And so it takes composite, S-video, and component inputs, and I'm using a Scart switch so that I can get the RGB outputs from all my consoles. And that RGB signal is being transcoded into component. If you can kind of see there, that little box buried underneath all those wires. I need a breakout box for the audio because the other box doesn't accept the audio, so the audio has to go in separately. And I've got 8 consoles here set up, all outputting RGB. So we'll go through them one by one. Here's my Model 1 Genesis, high definition, non-TMSS. And I just generally have the Mega SD plugged into it most times. Obviously, I can play real carts on it as well. And I beveled the edges inside so I can play Mega Drive carts too. That's my daily driver. Here I've got my Rgb Modded Top Loader. Now the RGB job here was based on the original PlayChoice 10 PPU chip. So the color palette is, arguably some people don't like it. I think it's fine. But I know that newer RGB mods have the 3-palette switch, or maybe even more palettes than that. So we'll switch out from that and show the auto switching feature of the Scart switch. So we'll power off and then turn on the NES. So there's my NES EverDrive N8. I know they released a Pro version, but I didn't really see the need to upgrade. It didn't really offer me much, at least not for the money. So right now I'm fine with using the N8. This is one of my 8-bit DOE 2.4 gigahertz NES style controllers. I like this controller a lot because there's some games where you just need the turbo. So you can alternate between using the turbo, using the regular switches without toggling, which is pretty cool. So next up on top, I've got the C-Box Neo Geo MVS-C. It's a consoleized arcade board in here, so it's the same board that would be in single slot Neo Geo arcade cabinets, the big red ones. And let's turn that on. Oh, well, I've got to plug in a controller to adjust the test, which I can't really do right now. But I've got Metal Slug plugged in. So the Neo Geo C-Box outputs RGB components and component. So you have your choice. So obviously I'm running RGB through it. Here's my Snes with the SD to SNES, as you can see. Go ahead and turn that on. So there's my menu on my flash cart. Next up is my core graphics, and I've got the Super SD System 3 attached to the end there, which of course outputs RGB. And for those of you who don't know, the Super SD System 3 is a flash cart that allows you to play both regular HuCards and CD-ROM games, Super CD-ROM games. Not Super Graphics though, because the Super Graphics would require the actual Super Graphics console, and this is the first iteration of that flash cart. I know the Pro version has that, but there's 6 games on the Super Graphics, it's not really, I don't really consider it all that necessary. Next up, I have my Saturn. This is the Model 2 US model. And this one is not modded, but I am running Action Replay so that it can play burned games and imports. And if I turn that on, we got our splash screen, and it'll go to the Action Replay menu because, oh, actually, it's pseudo Saturn modded Action Replay cart. Down at the bottom, I've got my Master System with my Master System flash cart. And there's my flash cart menu. And then I've got my PS2, which is modded for both domestic and imports. As well as I've got the network adapter. So I've got an internal hard drive, about 256 gigabytes. So I can rip games using FreeMcBoot and play games right off the hard drive. So the PS2, because of its 480i interlacing, I don't actually prefer to play it on a flat screen. Even with a good upscaler, I know I have a RetroTink 5X, which does the deinterlacing, adaptive motion adaptive and deinterlacing. I just still don't think that looks all that great. The PS2, I remember viewing it on a CRT, and so that's how I prefer to play it. So I've also got my little bin. This is one of my bins of controllers, and these are controllers that are only applicable to these consoles out here at this TV. So of course I've got my Core Graphics controller. I've got my Super Nintendo, the later version SNES controller, the one with the snappier D-pad and buttons. These are harder to find, but I do think these are so much better than the original run Super Nintendo controllers. NES controller. This is an interesting one. The Master System D-pad is horrendous. It's actually just a square, and so the cardinal directions don't press down very well. So I saw this on Etsy, and it's an NES style. It's actually probably an aftermarket NES controller that the guy swapped out the cord for so that it could be used on a Master System. And this is by far my preferred way to play on the Master System. Now the start and select buttons here don't do anything because they're not actually present on an original Master System, so they're not coded for anything. But you just use your 1 and 2 buttons. Now this is my arcade stick. This is a Hori Real Arcade Pro 3. And originally it was made for the PS3. I use these Brook adapters, and these will allow me to connect the fight stick so that it could be used on a Sega Genesis, PC Engine. This one is the Snes and this one is the Saturn and Dreamcast. This one allows me to use this on PS2 or PS1, and this one allows me to use it on SNES and NES. So I can use this arcade stick on any of those legacy consoles using these Brook adapters, and they're pretty low latency. Like, I don't notice any lag at all, especially when I use them here on the CRT. So I've come around to using a stick for shooters. When I started, I really was just a D-pad player, but I don't know, something over time I just started to appreciate using the stick more. I modded these and I put a bat top and I replaced the buttons Well, I didn't really need to. I think I just did that more cosmetically because the wrap came with Sanwa parts originally. I think this is the original lever. So yeah, this is where whenever I want to game on a CRT, this is my CRT setup. Later on, I'll show you my HD setup as well as my game collections. Thanks for watching.